There we are. Yay. How's it going, bro?
Good, good. You?
I'm really well. I'm really well. So I'm going to read something. Gone, gone, gone to the other shore. Attaining the other shore on having never left. Brilliant. So Paul has been speaking about this for since nonduality and recovery for 32 years. He has written 3 books on having never left, which I read really recently. It's one of the clearest book. I had a recent interview with Paul last week, and we chuckled about a lot of the absurdities of this that we're talking about. I'm going to open up. I really like this story. I hope you don't mind. If you don't mind sharing it, Paul. The tale of the 2 sweat lodges, which made me laugh so hard.
But first, I wanted to speak a little about
Sure.
the topic.
Sure. Please.
It's a very interesting topic because it's basically around the idea that you are that. Yeah. Most things we hear about, they don't go in that direction, nor is the topic you are that. You can be that. You hope to be that. If you do all this stuff, you will be that. But basically, the finality and the immediacy of being that isn't usually presented. Yes. So because of the topic matter, you get a hit or something when you hear it. Yeah. So let's say you feel like you're at a meeting full of sheep, and then the one sheep guy that looks, or woman looks a little different, says, "Hey, you're a lion," and then something hits you, and you get that tremor of being a lion. Yeah. And yet you leave the meeting and something happens that without knowing it, you've taken on the sheep position once again. So suddenly you had the hit, I'm a lion, and then you leave the meeting and it turns into I can become like a lion. This is the point, yeah, in my sense. So non-duality is right at the apex. It could be at the beginning or the end, because this is where something seemingly occurs that is actually impossible, which is there's a seeming forgetting of what we are and an identification as what we're not. And suddenly we hear the message of what we are as that identification as what we're not. So the importance about non-duality is really describing what we're not, in my sense, because you are what you're looking for. That's the premise, that's the basis, yeah? People can riff on it any way they want, but you are what you're looking for. Why isn't that translated? Why isn't that getting through? Because there's an activity that catches that message and turns it into something that's palatable to the system that's claimed it, yeah? And so now, suddenly, you are that becomes, I can become like that, yeah? Or I will finally arrive at that. This isn't it. This isn't the message. So the message, yeah, it's important to hear that you're a lion, but basically, after that, you want to hear about not being a sheep, yeah? So that the lion can recognize it's not a sheep. Not the sheep recognize it's not a sheep. That doesn't go anywhere. That's just more sheeping, yeah? But that the lion recognizes it's not a sheep. That's the beauty of the message, yeah? And so, and then when you learn how the sheep is reinstituted, reconstituted, you can recognize it, not from the sheep, but from the lion, as an example, yeah, image. So the lion sees it's not a sheep. You stop trying to see you're a lion as the sheep. You see you're not a sheep from the lion, yeah? And this little, that event is there. It's almost like a dualistic event. One is not being paid much attention to. We're not looking at what we're not from what we are. We seem to be looking for what we are from what we're not, yeah? But it's right there. So if you can just keep pointing out you're not that, yeah? And then you start seeing what you're not, you'll find out about what you are. You won't need to hear descriptions of the indescribable. They've done their job. It set off a tremor and there was a recognition. Hey, wait a minute. maybe I'm all I am is consciousness or whatever, yeah? But then it's pointless to keep piling on in a way. You want to immediately pivot and see the activity that's seemingly causing an inability to get that you're a lion as a lion. Yeah. So, all right, I just wanted to get that out there. Because it's in a weird way, this topic is very unusual because it's not giving us a master plan. It's not telling us about purification. It's basically saying what we're looking for is what's looking. Like right now, without any requirements or conditions to fulfill to be that, which is what's looking, yeah? Because that's the innate nature. So I just wanted to be clear about that. So the sweat lodge.
That's sharp, man.
The sweat lodge, because it's direction, really. Because a lot of times the habit of going into that groove of being what you're not or being identified as what you're not, it just keeps reinstituting. So and if you suddenly you get a hit, wow, and then about 5 minutes later, it's been neutered, yeah? Because now you got the hit. And the you that you're not claims to have the hit, which just neuters the whole message, yeah? It changes it, it alters it. And so to see what you're not and see the habitual nature of it and the mechanical nature of it, yeah? It gives a sense of personalness, but it's very impersonal. So whatever you and I are brought into contact with, it will claim, yeah? So here, I want to just get this in. So the basis of the event we're in right now is obviously seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, yeah? And then there's a noticing of thoughts. So those are the contacts. Some people would call it conscious contact. So consciousness and contact, and the activity of that contact is seeing, like a verb, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, thinking, yeah? Now, the mental state arises and claims the seeing to imply a seer and a seen, yeah? That's the duality. That's what the message negates. It doesn't negate the seeing, it negates the interpretation of the seeing as the seer seen, the hearer the heard, yes? That's important. So once so basically life is happening, it's verbing, yeah? And then the mental state reacts to that and claims the verbing implies a noun. And now we have a narrative of us as being the center, the self-centeredness, and then everything the system takes in is seen as how it pertains to that idea, which is it's off, yeah? So the pointlessness of seeking is more about the seeker than the seeking, yeah, yeah. All right, so the sweat lodge. The sweat lodge, circa 1989. So 1988, I got sober. I got struck sober, basically. Something struck me sober. I was a real addict and a real alcoholic. In other words, I had crossed the line and I had no ability to control anything, yeah? And so basically, I got sober, and that first year, of course, feeling like I had been bad for a long time, I wanted to be good and better. So someone had suggested, hey, there's this thing these Native American Indians do called a sweat lodge. And you go there and you purify and you release and you dump a lot of shit and you'll feel a lot better. So I'm all for that. So I sign up with this lady who told me about it. Now I had no idea of it. And they were having it in a mountain in Northern California called Mount Shasta, which is like a mythical, like the ascended masters live there, whatever. I had no idea. The whole town was crystallized. There was tons of crystals, shops everywhere. So I arrived there, and it's a huge deal. I had no idea that there was such a subculture of sweat lodge attendees. So these people were there, and they were building these giant lodges, like out of cedar saplings, and they dig a hole and they put boulders in it. And then every once in a while, a new character would come in, and it would be like a demigod. Oh, there's Buffalo Bill from Idaho. And these big characters came in, and they had their own like hierarchy. And they had these Indians from Oklahoma. So the days it starts, they have the big sweat, the flaps open, everyone's piling in. And I go in there, and there's tons of people in there. I have no idea what's going to happen. They put the flap down, and I'm holding on like a subway. I'm holding on to the rafters, and I try to sit down, and someone's head is right underneath my ass. So I couldn't sit down. And something I found out is heat rises, yeah, which was a thing I was missing. So I was sitting there, and then suddenly these waves of heat with a little moisture in them started hitting me, and they're spraying, and people are moaning and everything. And they keep throwing herbs and water on these boulders, and I'm getting fucking cooked like a rotisserie. My arms are getting burnt, my nostrils, my ears. And so I'm just dying, but I don't want to fucking leave early because everyone would be talking about me the rest of the week. So my spiritual pride, I'm not fucking moving. And I just put up with it, and it was like hell. Suddenly the flap open, we run out, I jump in the water, get refreshed, and then immediately strategies start. I'm going to sit right next to the flap. You know what I mean? I'm going to defend myself against the waves of heat. And so, all right, so that went. I made it through the 3 days. It was pretty amazing, but I wasn't that interested in doing it again. Yeah, I didn't become a member of the community. So years later, I'm working with someone in recovery, and him and his friends got into the Native Indian way of life, and so they were gonna do a sweat in this town right near where I live. And he asked me to support him, so I did. I went there with him. And they had brought an Indian from Oklahoma. I don't know how they find them. And there was about 15 guys. They had built the thing. We all go in, and there's food and a campfire and some Calistogas outside. We all go in, and I'm sitting there, and I suddenly feel, hey, this is hot. And then I just walked out, yeah. And I started drinking all the Calistogas and eating the food, and I could hear them moaning and praying and shit like that. And I was watching the stars. I had a great time. What had happened between the first sweat and this last sweat? There was huge unknown progress because I responded to what was happening. It's hot. Yeah. And I did the appropriate thing. I left.
I'm still laughing, man. That's really profound.
Different ways. It's happened many times in different ways. See, when you lose interest, you don't know you've lost interest until you run into that old little seeking machinery, and then you realize, fuck, I have no interest in this shit. Yeah.
That's the funniest. I love that story the best.
Yeah.
Because it could be meditation, it could be anything. You're stuck, and you're like, you just want to leave. There's this, you wrote in your book, which is really a Ramana Maharshi quote, there's a presupposing of a non-existent thing and wanting to get salvation for the non-existent thing. I love the way that you describe selfing. Can you expand on that more, Paul?
Well, the statement, see, when I got interested in this idea, of course, you go to Ramana Maharshi. He's like the godfather of non-duality. And so I read some of his stuff that were written by other people, but it was all his supposed teachings. And I started recognizing this phrase said in a lot of different ways, but it was always prefaced with the problem or the greatest mystery. So I was keen on it, and I had already sensed it. And he put a form on it, yeah, which I got. And so the presupposing of a non-existent thing is that the non-existent thing is existing, yeah, on its own juice, let's say. And therefore it runs into certain conditions and situations. So it starts seeking salvation from those conditions as the non-existent thing. Yeah. So that's the premise, that it's almost like an X-ray that when you're brought into, let's say, the waiting room of the non-duality doctoring, they'll bring you in and they'll show you this x-ray. So that see if it fits, yeah? And so, all right, so the x-ray is, all right, so there's a non-existent thing I'm taking to be existent that's had some troubles or feels some yearning, so now it wants to get salvation for itself. Far out, it sounds great. But he says, if this is the condition, your spiritual practices themselves are reinforcing the non-existent thing. How can they destroy it? Now, to me, these were like spiritual shoes that the master put out. I put them on. I wore them and it fit, yeah? I saw that was exactly what was going on, yeah? And so what happens is, while this is going on, suddenly an aspect of what you're not is recognized, which is called the thief. But then the recognition of the thief has also been claimed by the selfing, and now the policeman is the same as the thief, but implying it's different. So we have a statement in recovery, which is self can't get out of self, yeah? Now, when most people hear that, they can't apply it to themselves because they believe it's Paul that's been trying to get out of self. And it makes a whole lot of sense to Paul to get out of self. But unbeknownst to Paul, it's AKA self. This is the whole point. The whole point of negation is there's no need to affirm what you are. There's a need to negate what you're not. There's no need to affirm what you are. You are that. There's a need to negate what you're not, because what you're not is seemingly overriding what you are. So the selfing is, see, I don't believe if you call something self, you've given it too much credit, yeah? It's selfing, it's mental activities that when you go in them, or not you, when the attention and interest goes in them, they're always in the act of being identified as self. So when there's memories, you're pictured as a body. When you're worrying about you in the future, it's pictured as a body, yeah? And so in a weird way, it overrides the I amness of what we are by the I was Paul. I definitely will be Paul, therefore I am Paul. And now the I am is used to verify Paul. Do you see it? The existence of I am verifies the non-existent thing.
Brilliant.
So self is, see, it's like selfing is an activity. So when people call me and they go, oh, I really got it. I've been selfing all day. That's not it. Yeah. The feeling of being the one who's been selfing all day is the product of selfing. So selfing happens, which is a verb. It implies you're a noun, and then the noun is presupposed before the verb. That's how see, the word they used in Ramanujan is so important because it isn't just supposing, it's presupposing. So when the supposing of a non-existent thing to be existent, it's presupposed. In other words, when the non-existent thing arises, it tells you it's always been here. Yeah? It's been you for 70 years. You see? So while listening to it, it validates itself constantly. You're not going to change that. You're not going to change the programming. Yeah? What you're not isn't going to be led to what you are. Might as well just to me, it's a loss of interest in all that. See, this isn't about liberation. It's losing interest in the need to be liberated, because what needs to be liberated isn't you.
That was super sharp. Super sharp. Thank you, Paul. I'm going to add some questions to it that is related to that one. Mark is saying that the message is simple, getting it's not. Nothing to get, yes, I know. Why is the message not getting through?
Well, we just shared it. This is our invitation. the message is not getting through because there's an activity of being the one who's hearing the message, which the hearer of the message is the neutering of the message. Yeah. It's not that it hasn't gotten through yet. It's because you're waiting to get it. It doesn't get through. Yes. This is the slavery of seeking. Something fails. You don't see that it's failed. You just try a different way. It's sort of like this programming. It doesn't recognize the futility of the programming. It believes self can get out of self. And so when one thing doesn't work, let's say drug addiction, it just backs up, gets in another vehicle, that's called spirituality, and tries to drive out. When that doesn't work, maybe it becomes an accountant, yes? If that doesn't work, it starts looking at porn while being an accountant. Yeah, it's always trying to get out of self as self. Yeah, you're not that.
I like that you said that you're living under the effects of a heist.
Seemingly, yeah. See, the heist never happens. It says it's already happened. See, the funny thing in the heist never happens. It implies it's already happened. It implies you are that. It doesn't say you're becoming that, what you're not. It says you are what you're not. Yeah, that's the trick. It claims seeing to imply a seer. It claims hearing to imply a hearer. It claims thinking to imply a thinker. It claims all doing to imply a doer. You see? The doing, the thinking, the hearing is happening. It's what it does with it. It uses that happening to imply it's happening, which isn't true. Yeah? Then we get caught up. Well, they're seeing, yeah, but the seeing isn't joined at the hip with the seer. The seer is an add-on. Yeah? So people go, well, there's thinking, so there must be a thinker. Who says that? That's just the freaking logic of the system defending itself. People say that if there's a doing, there must be a doer. If it wasn't me and it wasn't you, it must be God or whatever. No, that's just the fallacy of the mental logic. It can't leave a verb alone. It has to paste a noun on it somehow. This is duality, exactly. Verb, noun, subject, object. This is what non-duality is a negation of duality. There is nothing non-duality is. It's a negation of duality. Who goes to a non-duality meeting? Where? Do we have like a newsletter? What's new in non-duality 2020? Nothing.
That's brilliant. Thank you. I just want to give you a little a message here from Eva. A hidden square figure from Europe would like to thank you for making yourself available, passing the message. I fell in love with the brilliance of it, and I did not miss any for months. Love ya, from Eva.
The check is in the mail, Eva. Thank you. Paid off a few of the questions.
Travis says the seeking energy literally ran out of steam. Ha ha ha. Love the authenticity, Paul. Thank you.
Okay. Fantastic.
And then there's an anonymous thing here. Is depression common after awakening? Is depression common after awakening?
No. I don't know. Anything can happen after awakening. I don't know if it's common. No. And who would, the old familiar one, who is it that would be depressed? Yeah.
Love your energy. This is anonymous. What can we do? Or what did you do? I understand this is an illusion.
Have a latte. You know what I mean? Look down and realize your zipper has been open for 5 hours. I don't know. There's lots of things. See, it's sort of, you know, my feeling is there's awakeness. Yeah, that's the fact. It's demonstrated by conscious contact all day. Obviously, we don't have volition concerning seeing. Yeah, if our eyes are open and I'm looking out the window, I'm going to see whatever shows up. If I take a vow, I'm never going to see a verb. That vow may be broken in 10 minutes if I'm looking out the window. Yeah. So the seeing, the hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, there's no volition in that. Yeah. And it's not demonstrating any thought or effort. You have to go to seeing lessons, you know, seeing lessons, hearing lessons. No. Yeah. There's no thought or effort in it. So I humbly feel we're all awake. And in this little dreaming, we can seem to be awake to that. It can appear to us that we're awake to that, or it can appear to us we're not awake to that. But the fact is awakeness. Yeah.
This is from Mala. Dear Paul, ouch, raw, direct, cutting, and left to deal with it. Nice, thank you. So there is thinking, but no thinker. Then what am I? Can I say I am the knowledge I am? This is from Anonymous.
Who cares what you are? You are that. Just find out what you're not, and you'll find out what you are. Yeah. It's so much, you know, we still want to meet what we are. We still want to have it in a certain suit. You know, what you're not, what you are is revelatory. It's improvisational. It's spontaneous. It doesn't live by roteness. Yeah. It can wear a clown outfit. It can wear something else. You are that. Yeah. You don't have to have what's asking what I am is what we're not. Yeah. When we should direct the question to what we're not. What the hell are you? Yeah. It's pontificating, sitting on a throne saying, what am I? It's just, it doesn't go anywhere.
You wrote this one, I really like one. I really like this one. If being conscious demonstrates no thought or effort, then why do we think it will take thought and effort to be it?
Yes. Yes. I mean, really. So let's say that statement is like a pair of shoes. You've walked into a quote unquote spiritual shoe store. You put that on. If it fits, wear it. See if there's been a lot of demonstration of thought and effort on your part to arrive at where you already are. So maybe the gig is up. You'll see it. Yeah. You'll see it from what you are. Yeah. That's the whole point about these little messages. They're warnings. It's almost as if spirituality is like a cigarette pack, and we have to put warnings on it. Like, this could be dangerous to your fucking spiritual health. I wanted to do that. I wanted to go into the spiritual bookstore and get a stamp and put that right on the author page and all the books. So when you're thinking of buying it, it would say, this could be fucking dangerous to your spiritual health.
Brilliant.
There's something, you know it, you've sensed it. Something arises very, very, very fast in time. This sense that implies the non-existent thing as existent. It's incredibly quick in time. And I humbly believe there's no process in time that can outdraw that. So if you believe you're going to meditate yourself out of the meditator, it's not going to work. Because as soon as you sit down, the mental state has claimed that sitting down to imply you sitting down to meditate. And you, the you that you're not, is not going to outdraw the you that you're not. You have to see it from what you're not, and it's available, readily available. You are the seeing.
Anonymous asks Paul, what's your view on the dark night of the soul?
let's say it's necessariness or unnecessariness is what comes before it. If what comes before it wants to be flamboyant, maybe it'll have a dark night of the soul. If it isn't, you'll have a good night rest. I truly believe we're dreaming. We're dreaming now, yes? Not that we're in a dream, but we are the dreaming. And so this is why, like, so that dreaming is before everything, yeah? So the meaning that everything has is not based on the thing itself, but on what's before it. So like in recovery, many people have this experience. They have a sense of what was the worst thing that ever happened to them. Maybe they got pulled over, they went to jail. And so for years, they built an altar. This was the worst thing ever happened to me. They had people co-sign it. Other people agree with it, yeah? And the mental state is milking it like every fucking day, like a golden calf. Then they come into recovery and the aperture changes. They start seeing things differently. And suddenly they see the worst thing that ever happened to them as the best thing that ever happened to them because it brought them into recovery. That's what's before. There's no worst thing or best thing, it's what's before it, yeah? Us. So someone could use, you know, I am that, and someone could use a phone book. Or not use anything, or use tons of things to express or imply awakeness. Yeah, but it's always that which is before. So if you're gonna have a dark night of the soul, get a good hotel room. Don't go to fucking Motel 6. Sauna, hot tub, you're gonna need it.
in your book, Paul, you talk about, oh, I really love this one, the glove.
Yes.
Yes.
Just simple. We're just trying to paint imagery. Imagery is a good form of communication. So the glove in the hand, obviously, the glove is being animated by a hand. But when the glove has a self-centered narrative, it believes it's its own animation. Yeah. So now the glove is walking around, and so let's say the glove starts reading spiritual books, and it finds out a description of heaven and what heaven would be like, and heaven would be like falling in to a million rose petals, the softness and stuff like that. Yes. All right, so now the glove reads about it, goes to meetings, but the glove in itself is a very coarse glove, yeah? So then it arrives seemingly at heaven, and when it touches all the rose petals, it doesn't get the sense of sublime softness because everything is being interpreted through the glove it's going through, yeah? So now the glove gets stuck with, wait a minute, I spent 20 years arriving at this heaven, spent a lot of money. I'm going to tell everyone it was fucking great. Nothing translated because it was all interpreted through the glove, yes? So what happens? Now the glove hears it's a hand. Fucking great idea. So, but then what hears that it's a hand is not the hand, it's the glove. So now the glove tries to become a non-glove, which is just more gloving, yeah? So the whole point is not to talk to the glove about the hand or the glove about the glove, but to talk to the hand about the glove so that the hand can say, hey, I'm not that, and then, yeah? Now it may find itself back in the glove, but the trance has been broken. It knows it's a hand, yeah? Even though everyone waves and says, hey, Mr. Glove or Mrs. Glove, and when you're arrested, you're seen as a glove. When you're sent into prison, you're seen as a glove, but you know you're a hand. And so therefore you travel lighter through the trials and tribulations of a glove because you're not a glove. Yeah. That's why we use the term traveling lighter. Yeah. The glove would love to learn how to travel lighter. It's incapable of it. It can't get softness. It's coarse, yeah? Everything it touches gets interpreted through the coarseness. It can't. It can read tons of books of softness. It doesn't get it. Intellectually it does. It doesn't get it. Yeah? Drop that. Drop that direction. See what you're not from what you are. Recognize it. Have an understanding of selfing. And so you'll recognize selfing is like the old Zen thing, pointing, you know, a finger pointing to the moon. But in this case, there's not even a moon. There's just a pointing. But the thing is, it plays with time. Yeah, it plays with time. So the verbing is claimed, and then the noun is supposed, and then the noun is presupposed before the verbing. You can see it.
That's fucking brilliant. There's a question about the glove. Anonymous asks, so the I am is totally false? There is no glove?
Well, the glove isn't the I am. The glove is resting on I am, but interpreting it as implying the glove. Yeah. So in the glove hand thing, the hand is the I am, and the glove is the I am glove. Yeah. Obviously, if the I am was withdrawn, there'd be no animation of the glove. So the glove is definitely not I am. Yeah.
Thank you. This is from Anonymous. Hi, dude. What was your process of or investigation? What were the questions and truths that helped break the illusion? Thanks.
You know, what happened with me, when I got sober in 1988, I had been introduced to spirituality when I was younger. When I was 20 to 24, 25, I was on probation. And I got involved in spirituality, meditation and stuff. So for 5 years. And then when I went, you know, I went back out and all this shit happened. When I got sober, I thought that was the best part of my life. So I tried to go back there. So I went back to, I didn't want a guru because I had one. I went with the Buddhism, and then I started traveling to Asia and going to a lot of temples, did some retreats there. And then all that stuff led me, and the failing of it really led me to hear about some lady speaking in a park, and it was a non-duality speaker. I couldn't even hear her, but something hit, like an unspoken yes, yeah? Something, I felt like I knew something before I ever knew anything. And so I followed that trail a little bit, read some books. The first one I think I read was Who Cares by Ramesh Balsekar. And I went to see Ramesh Balsekar, motivated me to see him before he passed away. So I checked it out, read some stuff, and entertained the ideas. And basically, I really love a guy named Huang Po, a Chinese Zen master. He's my favorite. Because I read him, and he just, what he said was, you know, one time when I was out there using drugs, we were out in this this rural area, and we did our first LSD trip, and we were driving around in a car, and we came to a stop sign, and we stopped for like 45 minutes. You know, just stopped. We took that as a, we didn't take off again. We were all just tripping out. This is sort of like what Huang Po did to me. His statements were like a stop, and turning the ignition key didn't work, I was stopped, yeah? And that what it said was, whatever can be perceived can't be perceiving. And then I just listened, went back into a little snippet of the narration, which its whole premise is what is perceiving is what can be perceived. The non-existent thing is what's perceiving. And Huang Po just took the whole rug out from me. And then he said another thing that stopped me, which is you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha. So let's say Huang Po's at a meeting, not at this conference, but at a meeting. And so he's speaking to people, and let's say there's Jim and Mary and Jill and Paul. And so Huang Po isn't talking to Jim, Mary, Jill, and Paul. He's trying to talk through Jim, Mary, Jill, and Paul to the Buddha. So he says the statement to the Buddha. He says, you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha. You can't use mind to seek mind. You can't use light to seek light. Now, how that's going to hit is you're going to realize that's exactly what Paul has been doing. Paul, aka the Buddha, has been using Buddhism to seek the Buddha. Yes? That shoe fit. I never took it off. This doesn't have to be a long, drawn-out affair. The whack happens, it can establish, and then you start, instead of studying what you are, study what you're not, so you can recognize it as not you, because it's coming up, obviously.
That's pretty awesome, Paul. Thank you. Anonymous has a question. So I am is the language way of saying that we are the hand?
You don't even have to say it. I am is just forget I am, you know. Look at I am not. That would probably be more helpful. Yeah. I am is completely I am explanatory. It will, but you're not going to get a translation that's going to fit I am Paul. Just see you're not Paul, and the I am will be obvious. Yeah. And I guarantee you'll never have another question about I am. You're going to have a lot of free time. Oh, yeah. All right.
Conference ended. I'm just joking. After that answer, I said conference ended after that answer. Another question: how to deal with body-mind mechanisms after awakening? From Anonymous.
I don't know. You'll find out. Yeah. There's no manual. Yeah, that's the beauty of it. Yeah, you'll find out what works for you and what doesn't work for it. Yeah. Hopefully, you won't starve what the body needs with some non-duality, pharisaical fucking belief. Yeah. This is what I see a lot. A lot of people, it turns out that you take it out on the fucking body. That you're not a body. It's not its fault. Don't blame it. You know, it has needs and it needs nurturing. And maybe it's many of us need a sense of purpose. Well, why would you want to starve it of that with some crazy idea you're not that? Yeah.
I want you to share the story of the brownie camera. I love that one.
All right, here's another one. Well, some people probably are too young for the brownie camera, but back when I was growing up, they had, this wasn't a brownie, but it was, you could get a cardboard box that had like a little plastic lens, and it had like one roll of film. It would be like $5 or $10. And then you just bring it back to the pharmacy and they would develop it. It would, you know, it would just be a one-time only use. And you basically, you really couldn't see through the lens well, so you just pointed and hoped, you know, the lens wasn't a very good quality. It was plastic. So let's say there's this huge, beautiful, super 360 surround panoramic HD camera, and it's got a walking tripod, and it's walking around, and it sees this camera and decides to look through the camera. And as it's looking through the brownie, it seems to forget that it's this big, unbelievable camera, and it takes on the attributes of the brownie. as being it, yeah? And now it's starting to get irritable, restless, and discontent because it has vague memories of beautiful pictures, and all it's got is these little blurred, fucking, you can't even see anything. And so it's decided it can only think of being better as a brownie. It can't see that it could be something other than the brownie because it's identified as the brownie, yeah? So basically, it sets out on a course to improve the brownie. So it buys a $5,000 Nikon lens and it puts it on the first lens, but the first lens dominates the effects of the second lens, yeah? So you're still seeing through plastic and then through a $5,000 fucking lens. So basically, the $5,000 did nothing because the dominant view is the plastic lens, yeah? So what happens? Someone walks around, sees this event, and doesn't talk to the brownie, but talks to the big camera and says, hey, what are you doing looking through that brownie? And then suddenly, the big camera sees the brownie from the big camera, not from the brownie, from the big camera, realizes, fucking, I hope I can return that $10,000 lens. No, realizes I'm not that. And it doesn't have to get an operation to separate it. It doesn't take any time to unbecome the brownie. It was never the brownie. It was never the brownie. It's always been the large camera. So it just backs off, and now it starts seeing the brownie instead of looking from the brownie. Yeah? And now seeing the brownie is used in a way to reinforce the intimacy of what you are by seeing what you're not.
Thank you, Paul. I like that story. There's a question from George. So where do you think your awareness felt or registered? Paul, I know there's no location. Still, where do you feel it in your case it is?
Yeah. The apparatus, the perceptual apparatus, the action figure, can't grok everywhere. It's sort of like the fish in the water probably doesn't even know it's wet, yeah? So I would say it's like that.
I like this one from Wang Po. You will come to look upon all these eons of work and achievement as no better than unreal actions performed in a dream.
Yes. Yeah. To me, that's just, everyone just should be nodding. Yes. Yeah. See, the dilemma is, these are a lot of people's describing the indescribable registers that sense in people, but they don't follow through with the warnings because there's something that arises in time that neuters the message of the timelessness that we are. It does. And we usually start a journey that has no beginning or end, and there's no arrival, nor was there a departure. We still have a feeling of starting from there. Yeah? We are, when we're in that act of being identified, we are the obscuring. We are not obscured, we are the act of obscuring.
Brilliant. There's a question. So there is thinking but no thinker. Then what am I? Then what am I? Can I say I'm the knowledge I am?
Why is it so difficult? All right, so there is no thinker. I'm not the thinker of the thinking. Stay there. Yeah, stay there. Then the system regroups and goes, then what am I? Yeah, see it. Usually when people share, they'll share like, oh, I had this incredibly nice sense, and then the world starts with but, B-U-T. And then there's a pledge of allegiance to the old fucking system. Just, hey, I'm not the thinker of the thoughts. Sit there. Beautiful. Yeah. What you are isn't interested in what it is. It's just being what it is. This isn't an exciting topic. It's just a fact. Yeah.
I'm going to throw another Wangpo here. People are scared to empty their minds, fearing that they will be engulfed by the void. What they don't realize is that their own mind is the void.
Yes, exactly. See, this is how people set up a condition to avoid the immediacy of being what you are. All right, I don't think my mind's ever been empty. I'm still Paul, yes? Because the way it's heard, oh, that's a condition. My mind must be empty to realize that I'm the void. No, he's saying all the filling up of the mind is void. You see? The head is constantly looking to proclaim its own relevance because of its innate anxiety about being irrelevant. Yeah. The non-existent thing is quite clear about non-existence. Yeah. It tries, see, this is what the head does. It says, well, I'm gonna take you to the path of the truth, or I'm gonna block you from the sunlight of the spirit. Either way, I'm relevant. Yeah. Either way, you gotta sign me up and bring me along. If not, I'm gonna block you from it. It's bullshit, totally. It's like we're playing. We made up something to play God. Yeah. And then we're allowing it to play God on us as God, so to speak. Yeah.
I have a question from Anonymous here. How to cultivate awakening in my daily life?
I'm going to smack you. How to cultivate you know, we may think this is our garden. It's a wild fucking garden. It doesn't need any landscaping or nurturing or cultivating or reseeding or watering. It's in and of itself generating. Yeah. Just, yeah. I used to hate that when I used to read these things, and people who have big followings, they have to keep everyone busy. So they have intensives every week or something like that. So I'd be interested in, all right, what name are they going to give this intensive, which is like the 50th one? Oh, how to integrate your awakening into everyday life. Like, holy cow, give me a fucking break. You don't see the hidden self has a huge role in that. All right, so I'm going to be the cultivator of the awakening in regular life. Woohoo! No.
Mark goes, thank you for smacking me. It's about time someone did.
Yeah, please. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, there's a long question here, Paul. Do you see in recent times the meaning being given to the term non-duality becoming more about fixing or getting like a word spirituality? Once try to clarify a difference from religion. Is the term non-duality already failing?
Well, you know, the thing is, just like we say, you know, recovery from alcoholism, the recovery program is pretty damn good, but there's people involved. So as soon as we show up, we give meaning to things. So yeah, I think non-duality will have offshoots of non-duality therapy, non-duality shoe care, non-duality, just like Zen. Yeah, probably. Yeah. See, I just see the statement of non-duality as a purely negative statement. It's a negation. It's not saying what it is. It's just implying something's not. Yeah. And I like to stick with that direction all the way through. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, of course, non-duality is, yeah, it's met us. So yeah, it's a topic that's a lot of meaning is going to be given to. Yes.
From Anonymous, are you going to come back in another life form when you die?
Well, I don't know. Let's leave it at that. I'm feeling nice today, so I'm gonna just leave it at that.
Right.
I feel compassion for people listening about nothing for 2 days. I have a lot of compassion for
Okay. Someone asked, what are your favorite non-dual books?
I think I like Teachings of Huang Po by, I think his name's Blofeld. You can probably get it for 90 cents on YouTube. It's a small little book, The Teachings of Huang Po by John Blofeld. I haven't read anything in years. And yeah. I got a call. I like Ramesh Balsakar's Who Cares. Obviously, everyone likes I Am That. I had a lot of laughing with the Course in Miracles. So yeah, but whatever resonates with you, remember, when that resonation happens, it triggers a claiming, yeah? And that claiming is going to masquerade as the one that didn't get the message or got the message. It'll take both views. And just recognize it's not you, you know? It's sort of like something that wants to start, you just keep pulling out the rug. And after a while, it gives up. You don't have to keep doing it. This has nothing to do with vigilance. It's not doing like self-inquiry like a practice or a mantra. It's just, in a weird way, it's like dropping into what you never left, you know? So like if you have a free sample, usually it comes along with the fact it's always been this way. So it sort of negates the whole story that you may be living to try to arrive there. If the goal seems to be immediately present, it tells you it's always been this way. So, yeah.
Thank you, Paul. We have 5 minutes left. Can you share, you open up with the lion and the sheep. Can you share that story? I really like that story too.
That was an old,
the
that's
farmer.
an old hint. That's the first video we ever did.
Yeah.
Because I had gone to satsang, and I don't know if I was missing it or not, but the idea of selfing and the claiming of the mental state, I felt was under-addressed. So the first video we ever did was the sheep and lion. And it's a nice story. There's a mother lion, and she's got a young cub, and they're trucking around the savannah, and the mother gets killed, and now the young cub is orphaned, and he really doesn't know what's going on. It doesn't know how to fend for itself. So it's just roaming, and it runs into a herd of sheep, and it starts moving towards the sheep. Now the sheep know it's a lion, so they get a little anxious, but then they realize it has no fucking idea that it's a lion. So it gets ingratiated into the sheep herd, and it starts, chewing cud, which is not working well. It's sitting around the fire, talking about who's going to be next year's sweater. It's not getting the sheep thing, but it doesn't know any better. And it's looking at some sheep, a female sheep. The female sheep thinks it's interested in it, but it's interested in eating it. You didn't know that. But then they marry, and they have some babies that look a little weird, but they just rationalize that. And he becomes a big sheep elder, and he's got a nice sheep herd himself, and he's trying, living a pretty good life as a sheep. He's got his hair permed and everything, and he's got a good ba, little loud, but a ba. And then one day they're in the grazing, and then this big old lion comes down from a hill and is chasing the herd, and he realizes there's a young lion seemed to be joining the hunt. So he keeps running, but he realizes the lion's running with the sheep. So it veers off and it grabs the young lion. The young lion rolls over on its back and says, "Oh, please, Mr. Lion, don't eat me. I'm a humble sheep." Now, the old lion is a little perplexed. So he grabs the young lion, drags it to the water hole, puts both of their heads over the water. The young lion sees the reflections and gets it. It's a lion. Yeah. Even though it was living as a sheep for years, it didn't take years to get out of the idea of being a sheep. It was immediate. As soon as he saw its lionness, it realized it, yes? And so then the old lion goes roar. Now the young lion doesn't have to sign up for a 3-month roaring class. It roars. It hadn't roared in 8 years, but it didn't mean it doesn't have the ability to roar, yeah? All of those abilities and qualities of a lion were sort of disguised with the sheep identification. Once he saw it, he wasn't a sheep, he realized he's a fucking lion. And he's always been a lion, and he was never a sheep. Yeah? Now what happens here is you walk away from the water hole, and then the sheep got reintroduced. Yeah? So there's a forgetting, and now you think I can become like a lion. Yeah, that's not the message. So we're hopefully keep bringing you, and we're just emphasizing, hey, you're not a sheep. I'm not emphasizing you're a lion. Everyone here, if they've been introduced to non-duality, has probably gotten that hit, that they're a lion. What they need is to recognize they're not a sheep, because the sheep is going to arise very, very fast. And it's going to take the place of the lion once again. Yeah, and there's nothing worse than a sheep trying to become like a lion. It's a fucking drag, because then they get old pictures of old lions, and they get meet other sheep, and they sit together and they start chanting, "I'm a lion," and they straighten their hair out, and they have roaring lessons, and everyone's judging everyone else. "I think you're becoming like a lion, Norm." "Yeah, keep going." And it's ba ba ba. Yeah, no. You're not a sheep. Forget about becoming like a lion. You're never gonna be. You'll become like a conceptual idea of a lion as a sheep. You will be able to convince yourself of that. You will look like you have a loving gaze. You'll speak in monotones. You'll dress a certain way. You'll become vegan. Whatever mimicking that you're a lion, we can adapt. We're fucking incredible mimickers, yeah? But you're not that. You're a lion.
Thank you so much, Paul. What did the sheep say to the lion? It's a joke. "I'll be back."
What did you say?
"I'll be back."
Exactly.
I got my first joke in. Yes. I've been trying to say jokes in this conference. I just wanted to leave with this comment from Mark. "Paul, you're not one for compliments, but the lion story has never been better told." So thank you so much, Paul. I hope to see you again soon, dude. This has been freaking awesome, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Fire.
It's amazing everything all you guys have done. I didn't know you could do so much about nothing, really. But
all right, Paul. We'll talk to you again soon, man. Thank you.
I hope so. See you. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye-bye.